Right, what is good, everybody? It's your boy John Denton, JD the Prophet, and I tell you what, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood to be doing this video. So I've just come back from jiu-jitsu, and I tell you what, it was gorgeous tonight. It was a gorgeous jiu-jitsu session. One of the rare ones where everything starts coming together, everything I've been working on. I've had a rough year in jiu-jitsu, injuries, bad sessions, things not going my way. Tonight was beautiful, so I couldn't be in a better mood. And here we're going to be doing, after Kendrick's season, it's all wrapped up. Thank you very much to everybody who's been watching those videos. It really has been amazing. It's been an amazing journey to go and do all the reactions, and it's been amazing having you guys come along with me. But as promised, I wanted to do a video ranking the Kendrick albums as far as I'm concerned. Alright, before I go into the list, I must say that I wouldn't score any of these albums below a 9 out of 10 overall. Now, you can argue about whether scoring systems are actually worth it or how good they actually are, but I think they're good as a quick reference point to kind of see where you're at. As somebody who's written reviews for years and years and years and read many, many more, I like to have a little go-to and something like that. So I wouldn't score any of these records below a 9 out of 10. But my number 4 in this case, I think it is close overall this, but I think it's going to be Section 80. And I think that's purely because it's a bit more disparate and a little less sort of concentrated and conceptual than the other albums. That's not really even a negative. I mean, most albums are like that. Very few albums in music overall are conceptual, but Kendrick Lamar is an exception. Section 80 is still a fantastic record, and I guess it does have that through line with the story around the campfire and all that sort of stuff, and phenomenal tracks like Keisha's Song and High Power, which I've had in my head, both of them, for ages. But yeah, I would probably place it 4th just purely because it doesn't feel quite as condensed, quite as complete as some of the other albums, but still, to reiterate, still a strong 9 out of 10 with some 10 out of 10 songs on there. There's barely a bum note on the record. That's not what could be said for my number 3, and I think you can probably guess what this is going to be straight away, and that's Damn. There's a couple of weak songs on Damn, especially the song Loyalty. I really don't rate that track at all. I know a lot of people don't like the track Love, because it's corny, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths. I know people don't like it. I just like the way that song sounds. I like the kind of vocal runs that Zakari does on that song. I think it's a nice compliment to Lust as well, which is my favourite song on Damn. So that one doesn't bother me so much, but Loyalty, it just reminds me of kind of middle of the road, kind of R&B pop that has been on the radio for the last 20 years probably. And I just think that everything that's said on that song has been said better by Kendrick, and I know Rihanna's talking about a lawyer or something like that, but it's like, this is a Kendrick album. I don't really care about Rihanna's lawyer right now. I just don't. But you talk about the high points. You've got Fear, you've got Duckworth, you've got Lust. The singles, DNA, Humble are fantastic too. And it still has a special place in my heart as the first full Kendrick project that I really got into. And it was great to do the reaction actually, and kind of get a little bit further into some of those songs, but yeah, it's still not quite on the same level as the next two. Now, this is where it gets difficult, guys. This is where it gets very, very difficult, and I still don't know if I've truly made my mind up, but I decided before I came in and switched the camera on that I was going to do it in this order, and all the discussion of the stuff is just off the top of my head. I thought about writing something, but it didn't really feel right to write something. I got a lot of ideas floating around in my head. So number 2 then, by a narrow margin, and to be fair, these records could probably jump over one another at different points depending on my mood, but number 2 is Good Kid, Mad City, and it's very, 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 very close. I have to say, very, very, very close. Yes, again, unlike Section 80, I just love the conceptual elements of Good Kid, Mad City. The fact that it's a movie effectively played out of order is fantastic. Following along that story was extremely engaging. It was a fantastic reaction to do. Even though I had heard some of the songs, putting it into the context of the story being told, it allowed the songs that I had heard to make much more sense. And from a production point of view, I thought it is utterly fantastic. Points, tracks like Good Kid and Mad City, superb, and then probably the high point of all of Kendrick's music possibly is Sing About Me Dying of Thirst, because I love the way it ties into everything. Even as I'm saying this, I'm like, maybe this should be number 1. maybe this should be number one. That's how close it is. I would happily, if I was scoring it, this would be a 10 out of 10 album for me. I've got no questions about that. I'd probably say I'm a little more liberal with my 10s as a reviewer. Not that I've really reviewed much music in my career, but reviewed a lot of video games. I've always been a bit more liberal with the top score than some people like to save that for the rare sort of once in a generation type of stuff. I've always been a little bit looser with it, but still, this is kind of a once in a generation stuff. Anyway, although the record I'm going to talk about in a minute is also that, I guess. But yeah, just thinking about it again, what a trip to go on. I think, bizarrely, it's probably a more listenable album day to day than To Pimp a Butterfly, which is obviously number one. I guess you guys worked that out by now. But I don't think, I have to remember when I was sitting there doing that reaction, and when I've gone back and listened to the songs again and sections of the albums again, and I have to kind of remember how mind blown I was at various points, and as amazing as Good Kid was, and maybe it was unfortunate in that respect that I had heard Sing About Me before, because I was not able to have that pure reaction the second time. Although hopefully when you watch the video back and have seen it, you can see how I feel about it now compared to when I listened to it on camera a year ago or so. It's still very different, but yes, I mean, it's basically got nothing bad to say, right? So yeah, it comes in at number 2, a very close number 2, but I could probably argue with myself and get up to number 1. And so, like, as we now know, my number 1 is To Pimp a Butterfly. Amazingly, because as fans of Rock Reacts will know, I had heard that album before, but only once, and it kind of washed over me. It didn't make any sense to me when I first heard it, well before we started the channel, and so I never really understood even why Kendrick Lamar was so highly rated. I kind of wanted something else. I wanted a rapper that it sounded like MOP or something like that. I don't know what I wanted at the time. It doesn't matter. Going back through it again, obviously we'd heard some songs on Rock Reacts as well along the way, but going back in and listening to the whole thing as a complete piece, to go in and have those sorts of reactions to some of those songs that mean 2, 3, 4 things at once, to bars that mean 2, 3, 4 things at once simultaneously, to the incredible moment like realising how powerful the song You was, especially as I'd heard it out of context in God is Gangster before, and how much it affected me that time. Incredible tracks like King Kunta, how much a dollar cost hearing that the second time. Even songs like Wesley's Theory, For Free even, which was the thing that truly put me off listening to that album the first time I heard it. I did not know what I was listening to. This time was amazing. So complex, so dense, makes you think in so many ways, and yet the instrumentation, even though it's jazzy, and I wouldn't say necessarily that is the type of music that I would gravitate towards normally, it's so compelling and it's so fantastic at certain points. Could I put on To Pimp a Butterfly any day of the week and jam along to it? Would I necessarily want to put it on in the car? No, but I also have to remember that when I finished listening to the album, how it made me feel, I was exhausted doing that reaction, for sort of mentally fatigued for almost 2 days afterwards, just because it was such an intense thing to do on camera, and to really try and get into the lyrics and get into the concept so much, and it was making my brain just, all my synapses were firing for days. Then I went and listened to, I haven't actually finished it, I'll be honest on that one, but listened to probably the first half of the Dissect podcast, which is an amazing thing, and how many albums can even have that done about them? So it has to be number 1, because I haven't felt shook by a music album like that ever, I would say. Nothing's really affected me in that way. I mean, I've heard albums that I've probably loved more on first listens from a musical point of view, or sort of heavy metal albums, rock albums that have physically moved me and got me hyped up in a different way, but nothing that's really made me not change my perspective on the world, because I wouldn't say it's necessarily changed my perspective, not necessarily change my perspective on the world, but it's sort of, it taught me a lot, and it made me inquisitive about certain things, and it's made me want to do research on certain things, it's made me more open-minded about certain types of music, and it's given me an even further appreciation of Kendrick Lamar. It's one of those things that's both inspiring and absolutely flattening to your motivation if you ever want to try and rap or write lyrics or anything like that, or even any type of writing, because wow, how do you ever get to that level? But you have to be able to take inspiration from that ultimately. So yes, to give the quick rundown: number 4, Section 80; number 3 is Damn; number 2, Good Kid, Mad City; and yes, number 1 is To Pimp a Butterfly. Now, to wrap this up, going to give my top 3 current Kendrick Lamar tracks. Okay, now this is going to be fluid and will change more so than the albums, I would say. And I'm going to do this in no particular order because I can't decide. So this will change, but for right now, where I'm sitting, May 28th, 2019, my 3 favourite Kendrick Lamar tracks. Didn't think this one through. Okay, I'm going to say them anyway. Keisha's Song, an incredible track. I love the instrumentation of it. I love the concept of it. The hook is absolutely fantastic. I think you could pluck that song out of almost any era and it would fit. And obviously it's telling a story. The ending is sudden and horrendous. It ties in to the Kendrick's sort of cinematic, audiomatic universe that I talk about in other tracks. And it's also a track that you can put on in the car and it just sounds good. Not necessarily that it's the type of track you just want to listen to for fun, but it definitely still sounds good just the way the beat is. And it reminds me, I've never been to California. I've never been to that side of America. I've only been to the East Coast. But it reminded me of an image in my head of something that never existed. And it's probably just from playing GTA, to be honest. Because, you know, driving down the coastal roads there, driving through, you know, like a Corona or a sunset like that. From there, in the game, but in my mind, it's in real life. And it just paints an amazing picture in that respect. Moving on then. I'd probably say I'm going to put Sing About Me. I'm going to put Sing About Me because I think it's probably his most incredible track. Would I want to listen to it all the time? Not necessarily. Yeah, ultimately I do think it's probably his most accomplished work. As a centerpiece to almost everything else that occurs on all the other albums as well. It truly is amazing. The double, triple, quadruple entendres, the deep messages, the religious overtones, the fact it tells its own story uniquely within it. You know, the Maya Angelou stuff at the end. There's a reason early on the channel that so many people were excited for us to hear this track, and it was effective then. But I can totally understand why people were saying you have to hear this now because they had been, you know, immersed in Kendrick long enough to be able to truly appreciate that track. And do you know what? I may gain further appreciation for that track in a couple of years even. So that has to be in there. Now this is the third one's got to be difficult, and I'm probably going to go with the Black of the Berry. I'm probably going to go with Black of the Berry because it really does bang at an extraordinary level, but it's rare to have something that could bang that hard to, you know, really get you moving, that can be listened to at any point, gets you fired up like a metal track, gets you fired up, you know, like a political rock anthem, but it still be so deep, so complex lyrically, so interesting, and, you know, the phenomenal fact that he's talking about his own hypocrisy in there, as somebody, myself, who sits there in thinking two things at once the whole time, and, you know, there's chaos and tornadoes in my mind. To hear Kendrick talk like that on a subject so vital and so important, and ties the whole album together and ties his whole kind of, his whole musical aesthetic together, plus his personality and everything like that, that has to be in my top 3. So, you know, special mentions to Lust, special mentions to How Much a Dollar Costs, special mentions to High Power, and so many others. But right now, that's my top 3, and that's my little wrap-up video for Kendrick Lamar season. So that's it. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and thank you very much for watching the season. We're going to be on to the next artist list. Haven't decided who that's going to be. Probably going to start recording this week. Don't know if I'm going to do a full season yet or just tie up some other stuff. Going to decide. Give me a minute. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I've been John Denton. Remember to subscribe. Please do follow me on social media because I want to get those numbers up. And guys, I'll catch you on the next season, and expect more and more content coming on this channel. We're going to be doing more and more on here. So shout me out. What other types of content do we like? Do we like more vloggy stuff like this? Do we like more just straight to camera, as well as the reactions? Just let me know, guys. I want to, I don't want to spread myself too thin across too many channels. If we can concentrate on one place, then beautiful. All right, I'll shut up now. Catch you guys later. Peace.